Mr. Demakia,
Yes.
Mr. Fells,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Mr. Sturgill, Mr. Williams.
Here. This time, Mr. Hall, Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Superintendent Mr. Tucker, Treasurer Mr. Williams, Treasurer Mr. Weber, and Board President Mr. Williams, and distinguished board members. Tonight we have a student from Palm Elementary School who will lead a Pledge of Allegiance. Cheyenne Johnson is a 5th grade student at Palm Elementary School. She is the daughter of Holly Johnson and Ruben Castaneda. She has 2 sisters, Gabby and Ariana. Cheyenne enjoys art and crafts, reading good books, and takes a tumbling class. She also plays the cello in the Palm Orchestra. She participated in a program called Artists for a Day. After the pledge, Cheyenne will be speaking about art and music appreciation. Ms. Deborah Stoker, principal at Palm Elementary School, is here tonight to support her student. Cheyenne. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated. First, I would like to say good evening, Mr. Tucker, board members, and audience members. First, I'd like to thank Ms. Pistolka and the Board of Education for allowing me to speak on why I feel it is important to enhance art and music in the lives of the students. We have gym to stay physically fit. We have computer classes to teach us about technology. We learn how to read and work with numbers. But what do we have at the elementary school level that really allows us to express ourselves? Art and music allow us the opportunity to not only enrich our education with math and the sciences, but also with our hands. With our hands, we express ourselves in our art, and we express ourselves in music. In art, we not only have the opportunity to learn how to draw and how to paint, we also learn the history of art. Vincent van Gogh wasn't born with the knowledge of art. He was taught about colors and the different aspects of art. The artists of today wouldn't be artists if they weren't given the opportunities in school to find this interest. The musicians of today wouldn't be able to play a note or write a song without a music class. Music not only fills the air with the different sounds, but also allows for the expression of dance, which is another form of art. This year, I have the opportunity to express myself and play in the orchestra at Palm under the direction of Mr. Hager. Just recently, I was crushed because my cello was unfortunately destroyed. Miss Pistolka and Mr. Hager saw that in me. They were able to find another cello just in time for me to play for the school concert. I felt so happy performing and doing what I truly love. I certainly hope other children in Lorain schools are able to experience the same feelings when they see their artwork hanging up or they're performing or singing like I was. In closing, it is my hope that we continue to have the same opportunities to express ourselves in the art and music programs. It gives us a chance to enrich our futures with more than just a passing glance. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to speak to you this evening and share my thoughts on the appreciation of art and music.
We would like for the parents and a family of Cheyenne, please stand. Thank you for your help and appreciation. Thank you very much. At this time, we turn it back over to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. This time, we would entertain our first hearing of the public. If anyone would like to have comments to address the board, we would welcome you at this time. This time, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting held on February 26, 2013?
Motion to approve.
Support motion.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia,
Yes.
Mr. Fells,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes. Old business? Report and recommendations of the treasurer. Mr. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very short, just donations this evening for approval. I recommend approval of item 1's donations for the board.
Motion to approve.
Support motion.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia,
Yes.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Williams.
Yes. Report and recommendations of the superintendent. Mr. Tucker.
As far as the academic commission, we have received the letter, and as soon as we receive permission from Michael Sawyers, we'll release that. He's our state superintendent at least until March 25th, because they hired a new one today to take, which is Dr. Ross. And as we work down the process for this, the school board and myself will keep you all informed. There's enough speculation going on and a whole lot of what ifs, and pretty soon we'll know. There'll be no what ifs. It'll be exactly what's happening. So as that comes along, we'll keep people informed. Okay, recommendations, personnel matters. A, item 1, consider approval of discontinuances of certified staff and support staff as listed as retirements and resignations. Item 2, consider of new appointments. They're mostly substitute teachers, substitute parapros, substitute cleaners, and then also personal nurses and personal attendants for some of our special needs students as they move into the district. Item 3, approval of a leave of absence as listed. Item 4, consider supplemental contracts. These are the family literacy coordinator, which is out of the Title I, which we've had for a number of years. Approval of supplemental contracts non-certified. These are the next round of the contracts for spring sports. We had the first round last board meeting. So I ask for approval of personnel matters A, items 1 through 4.
Motion to approve items 1 through 4.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Operation Matters B, item 5, contract with Align Assess Achieve LLC. We've had a number of these before. This is also more training for the new teacher evaluation system. 2A, grant expenditure. Item 6, approval with Tina Carey to provide a search and rescue dog for therapy services for special needs. There's no cost to the district on this. 7, approval of an agreement for Fox Creek for banquet services for the Lorain High Senior Banquet. That is a student activity expense. Item 8, approval of a contract with CenturyLink. 9, approval of a contract with All Lines Technology. And item 10, approval of a contract with eSchoolView. These are all our E-rate, where we're applying for E-rate, so these aren't definite until we get the approval on those. Item 8 is voice over IP, which will save us a lot of money when this, if we get this approved and move forward. I've been trying to get this all year, but we now have some movement. The internet connection, internal connections, we're looking to upgrade. As you know, we've had issues with servers and that. We're looking to upgrade a lot of our capacity here over time. Item 10 is our new website, and we are looking to get that 75% E-rate reimbursable, which will lower our costs substantially. Item 11 is approval of a contract with the Wixie Network. One item that has been an area of a need has been our human resource / treasures liaison and how to improve services there. Rachel Wixie and Associates is a human resource company that works with schools, also a substitute service, which we'll talk about at the next board meeting. And this will improve our services there and improve a lot of duplication of services, which should end up saving us money. We also have the group coming in where my team will be with the grant-funded APQC. We're going to start on that next week. They're coming in to work with us. That's funded, of course, by the NORD and the Nordson Foundation together. And one of the functions that they'll be doing is also this same area, working on that. So I ask for approval of Operation Matters B, items 5 through 11.
Motion to approve items 5 through 11.
Support.
Discussion?
Just have one question for the treasurer.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that these, item 8, I believe, item 10, both run for a number of years, and your present forecast is forecasting a deficit at the end of the next school year. My question is simply, can you sign these contracts with that situation?
Yeah, the answer is yes, because there's a new 412 certificate, but also net that against the E-rate reimbursement.
Yeah.
None of that is really,
So that comes
Yeah.
into play, that
Yeah.
we're gonna get most of that money.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll get, if it comes to
So,
fruition,
right.
you're only paying for 10% of the whole cost you
Right.
see there.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's a good deal.
Did I know?
Any more
Com-
discussion?
Comment and a question. I just want to applaud Superintendent Tucker and his administration for applying for these E-rate grants. We're going to get a lot of services for 10 cents on the dollar, and that'll be a tremendous benefit to the Lorain City School District in terms of being able to operate our district in a very cost-effective manner. My question is, once we know whether we are successful or not, if you could provide a report to the board, would appreciate that.
Sure, and why I push these very hard and push my staff, this is all Mark Evans' work, and he should take credit. This is a lot of work, and I've been on this voice over IP since the day I walked in here because of the savings and that it can do for us and what it can do in the district for communications, and he's tried 8 different ways and finally got some movement on it, and he'll report, and this is a long process. Mark, how long will this take before we know?
Well, last year when we had our special board meeting in March to approve the E-rate funds, they just awarded it today. So last year's funds were awarded today in excess of $400,000 reimbursement from what the board approved last year, which is the new network around the district to increase our capacity, the internet speed, the wireless access within the buildings for the park assessments, so forth like that. So it's an entire year's process. The way that those contracts work is they're multi-year because then the vendors can bring down their prices because they're guaranteed that money is there. And then if USAC funds those projects, then you're guaranteed that funding for the entire length of that contract. So as soon as they just approved today what we did last year, so I have a meeting next week with some of the providers from last year. I called them this morning and said, you need to get on my calendar so that we can start the process. So all those contracts from last year will start as soon as possible, get them implemented. They'll be implemented from this point on over through the summer so that when the students start back in the fall, all that stuff is there. So the same thing will go with these contracts here, the voice over IP. That's a huge project because basically it changes the entire phone structure, communication structure within the district. Every handset that is in the district will be replaced. The number of phone lines that we need will be reduced because it all runs over a dedicated internet pipe instead of over copper phone lines. So it all runs through our new fiber network, which they just approved today for last year. So
In other words, a long process.
I have a question.
Sure.
What is USAC?
Universal Service Fund is, when you look at your cable bills and your phone bills and so forth, you have all those federal charges and fees on it. That is what goes to fund for libraries and educational organizations to make these things that the corporate world can purchase quite readily that school districts can't. So all those funds and so forth that are on there offset, so school districts can take advantage of putting $1 million wireless project in for 10 cents on the dollar. And we are very, it's based on the free and reduced lunch and so forth like that. So other districts that have a less poverty level don't get funded. So Lorain has the ability to leverage all those funds in order to get things that our students need.
And with it being so long before they approve it, when do we have to, do we wait until it's approved before we have to come up with any money?
Yes, sometimes it comes a little bit quicker. It just depends. There were some snafus this year on the other end, so it may come quicker this year.
The contract say it's based on the funding, and then the district portion, we don't have to pay anything except our portion, and
Okay.
a lot of the contracts.
That's your question.
That was my question.
So
right.
the contract may be, one of those that was in there was $900,000.
Mhm.
We don't have to come up with $900,000. We come up with our 10%.
Yeah.
And then the federal government pays the contractor the rest of the money.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Demakia,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Fallis,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
It's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. And I guess as far as new business, which kind of slides us also into the committee reports, as Mr. Tucker has stated a little bit briefly as it relates to the current situation that's kind of being played out with the academic distress. I would let the board members know we have received notification, so it has now been formalized. We have, I believe, 30 days from
30 days.
the 7th of March in which to take our action. It is our responsibility, on a number of things. Mr. Tucker and I have had some discussion, so please jump in here anytime. Our responsibility is to submit 2 names to go along with the 3 names that will be submitted from the state. It's been identified as the responsibility of the president of the board, but we'll have some dialogue and discussion. If you have some recommendations of folks, please let me know who those might be. Also, what we'll do is we'll probably we may call a special meeting, we may not. We may figure out how we can talk about this. We just need to make sure that we have a clear understanding of exactly what this commission does. The letter that I received, once we've been given the release for the letter, we'll make sure all board members have that. In fact, I'll make sure you guys get that immediately. And you can kind of read through there, and it really just kind of spells out what the law says, specifically in terms of the Ohio Revised Code. And, you know, we have quite a few questions. We have a conference call that's going to be coming up sometime soon,
Shortly.
Thursday, and we will get our questions answered there. I have questions like, you know, can we make the appointment? How long is the appointment? What happens if the person who we appoint decides they don't want to any longer be on the commission? How do we go about reappointing? So there's some logistical questions that we have. I think we anticipate that this would be a minimum. We have to have 2 consecutive, or 2 of 3 years where we show a year's worth of growth. And jump in anytime you want, Mr. Tucker.
There's a long process. So, and the newspaper articles have been very accurate. I knew this was going to come or didn't know it, but I had a very good suspicion based before I came back because the report card edited that way. A lot of the plan that you saw, what I presented here, I guess a month or so ago, I've been talking to people down at ODE. This is what I'm planning. Yep, good education and a good plan is a good plan. And I wasn't going to put anything forth that we had to change. So there's been a lot of dialogue between myself and the folks down at Ohio Department of Education because they'll be appointing people that'll oversee this. They'll be here for probably 2-3 years unless the state superintendent realizes that Lorain is on a path and we don't need that oversight anymore. Outside of their direct responsibility of taking that away, then you can read the law. It's been quoted numerous times and stated numerous times. I've been passing out hundreds of copies of it. Basically, you have to hit continuous improvement, which will be a C on the new report card, which will be out in a year or 2, and also hit AYP. So there's a number of items that we're focusing on, and it's all on academics and making sure our students achieve.
And we are optimistic about this. We are not going into this with despair. We believe that the opportunity and the resources that are here are going to allow us to accomplish what we've set out to accomplish, beforehand. Again, Mr. Tucker's plan that he's been working on, things like the bringing back of kindergarten, the tutoring programs, those pieces, those contribute directly to the improvement of academics. We hope that much of his plan ends up being the body of the complete plan that the commission will then adopt. This is a cooperative relationship. This isn't parental. This isn't, they work closely with the board and the superintendent. And in even stating in the letter, they depend on the recommendations, and they make recommendations to us also. So again, it's a cooperative work environment. It'll give us some more eyes, some more perspective, and so we're embracing it, and we will look forward to the advantages that this can offer our district and our students.
If I might
Please.
add to, and I totally agree with Mr. Williams, this is an opportunity for our children, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Tucker is poised to take full advantage of this, I would suggest anyone who wishes to find out more about what's happened in Youngstown, you can go on the Ohio Department of Education website, click on accountability, and then click on Distress Commission. And you can download the original and amended plan from Youngstown from 2010 and an update on that plan from March of 2012, a year ago. Very interesting. I did do that. I have read both the original and the amended version. Last week I called and talked to the commission chair, Dr. Adrian O'Neill, who is the chair of the Youngstown Commission and a lifelong educator, and became more convinced than I had been that this will be a good thing for the district. And and I would, I'm sure it will here, not only involves the board, but it involves the community, parents, businesses. That's one of the earmarks of the plan, is to create more communication with the community. Also, one in their plan is a lot of opportunity for choice, for parents to choose, I assume, programs, etc. Sort of what reminded me of Mr. Tucker was back in the 80s when the district got in trouble in federal court and was sued by the NAACP. And instead of turning that into a nasty situation, the board signed a consent decree and answered it with probably one of the greatest programs ever to exist in Lorain and in the United States, a program known as magnet schools. And those magnet schools made us the envy of school districts across the country. They came to Lorain to see how we did the voluntary desegregation. And if we can do it in the 80s, we certainly can do it in the 21st century. And as a little sort of interesting aside, in reading the plan, I found out that one of the elementary schools in Youngstown is named Paul C. Bunn Elementary. And when I was talking to Dr. O'Neill, I said, you probably don't know this, but Paul C. Bunn, for whom the building is named, is a former superintendent of Lorain City Schools. He served as superintendent from 1935 to 1944 and left, to go to where? Youngstown. So there's a little connection there, if you will. I told Dr. O'Neill that maybe the spirit of Paul C. Bunn would hover over both ours and Youngstown's, and we'd get a little extra help from beyond. But seriously, this, I think, is going to be a good thing, and Mr. Williams has got an awesome responsibility. And I did find out that whoever you decide to nominate will be the representatives. The state does not have the power to override you.
That's correct. Also, also remember that the plans are unique to each district, and each districts have different needs and different plans. In Youngstown, if you read it very carefully, they obviously had some other areas that they needed to work on, and we have our areas to work on also. So it's unique to the district. That's why there's no boilerplate there. We have the Ohio Improvement Plan, which I talked about. That will play large, and it will now play even larger. And there'll be benchmarks set and how to reach those benchmarks. One thing Mr. Smith is really correct in is the community engagement. That's why I started the strategic plan process. That's right now on hold until they come in and give everything their blessings. But we have the business advisory committee, the strategic plan, and some other areas that we're going to put forth, but we're waiting for them to come in. So we're working on a number of things, waiting for it to get started.
Any other board members have any other questions or comments?
I just have two comments. I'd like to address, I guess, our academic plan since Mr. Tucker came on board, and I have a comment on the academic commission. I just want to emphasize that, when Tom came on board, we were looking at trying to advance the academic performance of the school district. And Tom's been working on that very, very diligently. I want to emphasize that what this academic commission will be doing is we'll be actually maybe providing some input to that, but we have been working on a plan, and that plan will continue to evolve as time moves forward. So I want to make that very, very clear that we've been working on this for the last 6 months. The other comment I want to make is there's a truth that states that there's wisdom in the multitude of counselors. And so I'm looking forward to working with some people at the state level on this new academic commission and a couple local folks to get their input, have their input placed on our academic plan and helping us craft the best process for our students here at the Lorain City School District. So looking forward to the future. Thank you very much, President Williams.
Thank you. And then one additional thing, if Mr. Tucker would be so kind to indulge us, we have a celebrity for the day. This guy was in court, with the big...
Court.
Well, the big court, the State House.
Yeah.
Please share with us what you experienced today and how you've placed our district on a map of sorts.
It wasn't that big a deal, but the governor's Lorain Schools, which you all read in the paper, is slated under his plan to get a substantial increase in funding. The one thing you need to remember is whatever funding we get, the funding will follow the students. So if they leave our district and go to another school district or charter schools, that money does follow them. But we are one of the districts that under his plan, if you read it carefully, it has to do with high poverty, low income, low property values. You name it, we cover it. I got a call from the governor's office a week or so ago asking if I'd come down, or 2 weeks ago I got a call asking if I'd be on a conference call with 5 other districts that were in somewhat of a similar situation than us, which I participated on with a number of newspapers, news outlets, and they were chosen as urban and rural, and there was Southern Ohio and some other districts. I received a call then a week later asking if I'd come down and testify and tell Lorain's story to the subcommittee of the primary and secondary committee for holding the hearings for the budget bill, House Bill 59. This morning I was down there bright and early at 7:30 at the State House. If you've ever been into one of those subcommittee rooms for the House, they're not much bigger than this room, and they're really cool. It's like going back into the Civil War. It's the curved bricks and the big stones, and it looks like you're in an old 1880s or 1870s place. The subcommittee consists of 5 members. The ranking member is Matt Lundy, who's from our area, and you're allowed to give testimony and support or as an interested party. And I told Lorain's story, where we're at, how we got there, and basically we're the perfect storm for what his plan is about to get it funded. And I've been asked if I would do that again, so I did testify in front of the subcommittee this morning.
Well, thank you. Glad you represented us well. Any other comments or questions from board members? Do we have any committee reports or requests from board members? At this time, we would entertain a second hearing of the public. If you would like to address the board, at this time, you may come forward and share with us any comments or perspectives that you might have or questions. Thank you. I guess at this time, we would announce our next meeting, which would be
March 26th, 6:30, room 33, Charleston Administration Center.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. With that, may I have a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia? Mr. Williams?
Yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.